The European Bioinformatics Institute near Cambridge, UK, is Europe's primary centre for looking after biological and biomedical data from research groups around the world. Part of the European Molecular Biology Laboratory, the EBI collects, analyses, archives and then distributes this data globally for further research. As biology becomes increasingly collaborative, the reliable, efficient and secure sharing of ever larger data sets, from genome research for example, will be crucial to many biomedical science projects.
Biology has moved from a small science to a large science. Many of the recent projects are international. They cross countries and cross continents. And so data exchange between different labs has become a major challenge. We're currently facing a tsunami of biological data. There have been radical improvements in many technologies to determine data in a high throughput method. The data flow has increased exponentially and we are having a doubling of data every 5 months.
One of the projects that we have that has a large requirement for bandwidth and network connectivity is the Thousand Genomes Project. The Thousand Genomes Project is an effort to map, to the extent possible, complete human worldwide genetic variation. And we're doing this in a number of key population groups: Europeans, Africans, East Asians, as well as other groups including American populations and South Asian populations. At the end of the day, though, it generates a lot of DNA sequence data, and because of the way the project is designed, the data has to be collected together to be analyzed together. And so from the 8 different centers that generate the DNA sequence data, we end up collecting it all at the EBI. Once we have the data collected here, we provide it out to the analysis groups. This leads to very large demands on the network, almost from the very beginning of the project. We now have at the EBI kind of an average of about 300 megabits per second that we use on our bandwidth, but we have peak inbound bandwidth that regularly peaks at 2 gigabits per second and at times hits 5 gigabits per second. A large fraction of that is Thousand Genomes data coming in, and of course we also have a large amount of bandwidth going out. The Thousand Genomes Project was envisioned before we even knew if the networks would work for what we needed it to do here. Some people in the project encouraged us to send hard disks around the world as a solution, but for a whole host of reasons, probably most importantly that the networking itself just worked when we needed it to. We've not gone to hard disks as a method of data distribution. And so making this data available to as many people who now have it, the networks have been critical to doing that. And of course, as we've had more experience with the networks, we can contemplate ever bigger projects.
The EBI's local research and education network in the UK is JANET, which provides initial connectivity to the GÉANT network and links to the other international networks which the EBI sees as increasingly important.
Biological data is totally international. And so, although we are most familiar with JANET and GÉANT, in fact, the need for totally global network is essential. And for example, this morning we were discussing about the Australian links and how we transfer data between ourselves and Australia. And for that, of course, we need to traverse many networks. And going forward, the links to China and the links to India are going to be absolutely critical.
We find, and I know our systems group finds JANET and GÉANT very helpful with aspects of some of the value-added tools that they provide, as well as some of the more difficult connectivity problems or connectivity challenges when we're trying to get data to the United States, to China, to Hong Kong, other places around the world.
It's clear that one institution on its own cannot manage